here we have the bones of the hand and the digits. First off, we're going to go through the digits. Okay? The digits are made up of phalanges. Every digit has 3 phalanges, except for the thumb, which is known as the pollex, which only has 2. Okay? So there are 3 here. The closest one to the palm of the hand is called the proximal phalanges. The furthest from the palm of the hand is called the distal phalanges. So you have proximal and distal. Each finger has a proximal and a distal, including the pollex, which is a proximal and a distal. However, the other digits have this bone in the middle right here called the middle phalanges. Now, the distal digit, the distal phalanges, you can actually tell because of its kind of rounded tip and bulbous bottom. That's how you can distinguish that as being the distal phalanges. The middle phalanges tend to have a raised area in the middle of the phalanges, this little raised area, whereas the distal tends to be flat. Now, the bones that make up the palm of the hand, these bones here, are known as the metacarpals. Metacarpals are numbered 1 through 5, starting at the first, the thumb. Okay. Below the metacarpals are the carpals, which make up the bones of the wrist. A tunneling of the bones of the wrist, the tunneling of the carpals, forms basically what we call the carpal tunnel syndrome. Okay? Now, you have 2 rows of bones within the carpals. You have this upper row right here, which basically is found just below each metacarpal. This one goes here, this one goes underneath that one like that. This one goes underneath that one, this one goes underneath that one, and this one goes underneath that one like that. Then you have a second row which then sits underneath the other set of bones. And so this one will sit underneath these 3, and this one will sit underneath these 2. Okay? The first one right here sits underneath the thumb. This is the trapezium. You can see that the trapezium kind of has a horseshoe or a saddle-like shape to it like that. This is going to form the saddle joint, which allows the thumb to do its opposition. Right next to it is the smaller bone right here, which is the trapezoid. So that's the trapezoid right there. So you have the trapezium and then the trapezoid. Next to that is a much larger bone called the capitate, found just below the middle finger, which is interesting because if you give someone the middle finger, sometimes they feel like they want to decapitate you or take off your head. And so this is the capitate, and taking off the head is decapitate. Okay. These 3 bones sit on top of this bone right here, which is known as the scaphoid. It is S-shaped, so kind of S for scaphoid. So you can kind of see the S there. So S for scaphoid, and these 3 bones are going to sit right on top of it. Okay. The next bone right here is the hamate, and it has a little process sticking out of it. You can kind of see the process sticking out of there, and it's kind of like a ham hock or a pork chop. It kind of looks like a ham hock or a pork chop kind of shape, and that's going to be the hamate right there. Okay, and that's next to the capitate. Now, the next bone structure is actually 2 bones. A larger bone here and a smaller bone here. The larger bone is called the triquetral, and the smaller bone sits on top of the larger bone, and the smaller bone is known as the pisiform. So here you have the triquetral, and here you have the pisiform, and that's going to be right next to the hamate. Below the hamate and the triquetral is this kind of moon-shaped bone right here, crescent moon shape right there. Kind of looks like a Lucky Charm. And that is the lunate, because it looks like a moon. And those are the bones of the wrist. That's it.